Whether you know the game of cricket, or you think having a googly was something that you ate for breakfast, all right? Or you're somebody who thinks that, cricket is something that goes on for 5 days, like a meeting with no agenda, and it still winds up in a draw. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, leadership is leadership. Irrespective of the sport that you play, the teams that you lead, leadership is leadership. And I think that's why the guy that I'm going to bring on to have a chat with all of us this afternoon is so important. Because when it comes to sport, and the sport that he plays, you're not as much under pressure as what he is. Imagine if every little mistake you make is captured and played in slow motion for 60 million people to watch over and over and over again, okay? And debated on couches around the world by experts who haven't exercised since 1998, all right? That's what happens with sports. Aren't we all couch, experts? This is what happens. But not only that, you've got all of that pressure, and then you have to deal with high-performing individuals, all right? With big egos, maybe even bigger opinions, and even bigger personalities, all right, on a day-to-day basis, and get the best out of them. So I suppose it kind of sounds like a day in the office for a senior level executive, right? And that's why I think it's so important that we're able to learn what it means to operate under high stakes pressure, maintain your composure, rally a team, manage yourself, manage your emotions when the stakes are really high. So this afternoon, let's welcome onto stage Temba Bavuma. Let's hear it. Temba, welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what they say, dynamite comes in small packages, right? So, welcome, you're seated in the yellow chair.
Thanks for having me. Good morning or afternoon to everyone. It's quite a lot of people here, feels a little bit of pressure, but yeah, thanks for having me.
Dude, 60 million people watch you and analyze your move. Don't worry about these guys. It's going to be all easy, man. No issues, no issues. Let's jump straight in, right, Tim? And I want to ask you a question, and let's go from Langa to Lords. All right. I mean, growing up, you grew up on the streets of Langa, probably played street cricket. And if my research serves me right, I've heard that the streets in Langa are named after big cricket cathedrals, the likes of Lords, Karachi, BCG, all that kind of stuff. So how does little Temba go from literally the streets of Langa to Lords? What was that journey like? How does that feel? And then to win a World Test Cricket Championship and go back to Langa with that mace, how did that feel? That's full circle, man.
Yeah, beautiful story. I think coming from humble beginnings, such as Langa, growing up in that community, growing up in a family who were mad lovers of sport. And I got immersed into all of that. I played a lot of sports coming up, cricket obviously being one of them. And it was always just a passion, right? It was always just a space for me to just express myself, and also to kind of get lost in everything that is happening around. Coming out of those environments can be tough. But I was quite privileged as well in a lot of ways, in the sense that from a young age, through financial assistance, I was able to attend your private schooling system, go through that system, where I would have benefited a lot from a cricket point of view, coaching, access to infrastructure, from an educational point of view, and also just from a general ethos point of view. So I kind of see my journey as someone who's had the best of both worlds, if that could say. And I think in terms of the responsibility that I have now, being a leader, I think that served me quite well, in that you are able to reach different people from all different walks of life, if that makes sense. You can speak to the brother who comes from a tough background, but you can also speak to the other guys who've lived a privileged life. You can resonate on both sides. And yeah, I think the feeling of from just being a young guy who had this passion, and then you go on, you represent your country, you carry this responsibility, sometimes a bit of a burden, and then you have an opportunity where you could create history, and then eventually we do it at Lords. Many South Africans were there, and I think it just puts a lot of things into perspective. You know, all the struggles, all the adversity that we go through as players and a team, and it makes it really worth it. I think the biggest thing for me was having my family, having my son there. He definitely doesn't know what happened on that day, but I'm sure as years to come, he'll really understand. Coming back then to Langa, enjoying that moment with the people there, but generally the people of South Africa, you know, again, for us it was we've won a World Cup, but then you get to interact with people. You really get a true sense of what it really means. You know, you bump into old people. People are crying, telling you how you've changed their life. You know, and it really. I mean, they always say sport unites us. When it's in front of you, it's a different feeling. So, yeah, it's been incredible. I think the only downside to it is that the expectation has risen, and now we're expected to win all the time.
So this is what I just wanted to jump in here, and I just need to check something, all right? If you just give me your hand, I just want to see something. I don't know, it's not true, guys. He doesn't have ice in his veins. Well, but just the question I have is, how do you manage all of that pressure, all of that stress as Temba? You're not only carrying the team, but you're literally carrying the hopes of the nation, right? You're carrying a country when you're out there. And every one of your moves is kind of blasted on screen. Every decision you make is second guessed, third guessed, and discussed by everybody, professional or not. How do you cope with that kind of pressure?
I mean, it's not simple, right? It's not easy. Like I said, for me, cricket was always a passion, and I had this dream of playing for the country and being successful at it. Growing up through the schooling system, I became very oblivious or ignorant to a lot of things that were happening in our country. You know, never really paid a great deal of attention to the history and the significance and everything that happened there. And for me, it was always about I'm playing cricket as a young guy who's just expressing himself. Get the opportunity to play for South Africa. That fallacy or that fallacy in my head, that completely gets removed, all right? And then you come across as to why it is important that Temba is within the South African cricket team, the importance, the presence, the purpose of it. But it becomes very burdensome, you know, and it's something that I struggled a lot with early on in my career. Every time you would do well, it's never just a performance, it becomes symbolic. You know, the first black African to score a test 100, then an ODI 100, and then you go and captain as well. You know, it becomes very symbolic. And I guess for me, I always wanted just to be seen as a player. You know, if I do well, as the other guys on the team, I'm doing well because I'm a player who's worked hard. You know, and if I don't do well, then it's a case of, as young players, we all go through points or phases in our career where our form is in question. But it's just a case of kind of going through that. So, like I said at the beginning, that was tough. But probably in the last 4 to 5 years, and I guess it comes with age, it comes with being comfortable with yourself, being comfortable with what your goals and ambitions are, and kind of having that singular focus as to what you want to achieve. It kind of allowed me to not pour a great deal of attention to what I felt at that time was a big distractor for me. And I just became comfortable in my skin, how I kind of go about my business, and I think also a great deal of belief and trust in who I am and how I do things. You know, so I mean, people will say, you know, I'm calm and all of that. Look, I'm human. I have emotions. I think also what helps is that I don't overplay myself, if that makes sense. I don't take myself massively serious. You know, I'm able to laugh at myself. I know I have my weaknesses, but I'm also quite ambitious as a person. So as long as for me I'm sticking to that, then I feel everything else becomes a distraction if it doesn't speak to what it is that I want to achieve.
Okay. This is now a personal question, right? This is my question, not one. And they always let me go off script here. So this is my personal question. Do you and the team. I once read that Michael Jordan wore the same shorts all the time that he won his first game in, and he kind of became ritualized. Do you and the team have any kind of rituals that you lock in that says, hey, we remember a win, like maybe after you did something before winning the World Cup? Is there anything that's a ritual that you use to kind of bond the team together or anything like that? Is there anything with the team that you have?
I think so. Like if I think of like my captaincy, I was announced as captain 2021, and that was in the ODI and T20 stuff, the white ball space, and then in the test space I got announced 2023. My first 2 years of captaincy, I was nowhere, right? I'm rabbit in the headlights, and it was all about me trying to find my way of doing things. Come 2023, a lot more experience, a lot more comfortable in myself. I kind of knew what I was doing, and I had, I guess, a plan of how I could do it. And part of it was before the start of a series, I would get just the team members, just the team players together, no staff, anything like that. And for us, it was all about we lock in terms of what our vision is and what it is that we want to achieve. But more importantly, like having deep and honest conversation about amongst the players, and having conversations that ordinarily you wouldn't be comfortable saying it to the coaches. And I think like those type of conversations really got guys together. I think where the biggest challenge we find in international cricket with T20 and the franchise leagues is that the guys have a massive opportunity to earn a lot. They'll earn 5 times more than they'll earn playing for their country. So, I mean, guys are making business decisions, right? Going and playing for other franchise leagues. So for us as a team, it was like, we know that is a reality, but when we come together here as a team, the badge that we're wearing, that's what's going to connect us. And for this 3 or 4 weeks period that we're together, that is what we are going to give ourselves to. So it's having those type of conversations. And I get it became a ritual to a point where at the start of the series, you get the young guys, your Marco Janssen, Carl Verena was saying, hey, Skip, we need to have that get together again, So I think that became a ritual, if I could say, as a team. When guys are making their debuts, there is a ritual where we celebrate them. Someone will give a speech. So, yeah, individually you get guys with their funny stuff. Guys who like to wear the same, guys who like to wear the same underwear. I don't know.
I hope they wash it.
Yeah, I don't know from a hygiene point of view where that stands. Yeah, certain guys like to eat certain meals. They don't want to eat certain meals. Look,
For you?
No.
Anything specific for you? Do you have any rituals?
Us brothers, we don't have things like that. We just get along with the game.
No superstitions, no rituals. You just go out and hit the ball.
We just get along with the game.
Nice. So, I mean, we at MTN, we have a value that's called leading with care. And I wanted to kind of zone in on this because you mentioned that sometimes you've got young guys who come in, you have team members who have a dip in form sometimes. And if somebody has a dip in form, what does care look like from your perspective as the skipper when you're having to, hold someone to account, understanding they're having a dip in form, but you don't want to drop the standards, right? Because, you're wearing that armband, so there's pressure on you to perform. What does I guess leading with care looks like when somebody's lost a bit of form?
Yeah, empathy is a big thing, especially for me as a leader, someone who's had the highs, but you've also had the lows. And I mean, I know what it feels like, when you're doubting yourself, when other people are doubting you. You have the responsibility of being captain. And as much as you captain, you also have the role of it's either you're a batter or a bowler. You need to perform in your skill. And it becomes hard to lead with confidence, with purpose, when your own skill is in question. So when you see other younger guys come into the team, you generally know that in their first 2 years, they're gonna. It is a case of them trying to find their feet, So you want to give them the comfort, firstly, that you are good enough to be here, and that everybody in the team believes in your ability. You want to make him understand that it's not meant to be easy, right? Because if it was easy, all of us would be playing here, right? But I think there's also, because of international cricket and the demands of it, there's also a bit of an iron fist to it. You also have to be a little bit hard, It's big boy cricket for a reason. We're not gonna baby you and all of that. The standard stays the standard, but I think people know that if they can see that you are working hard enough to maintain that standard, then generally, that rope will be a little bit longer. But empathy is a big thing. As a team, again, I think it was during COVID, we were put under a lot of pressure. The cricket system was under the magnifying glass. People were looking at how former players were being treated within the system. There were cases of racism and discrimination, and us as a team, we were put in a situation where, again, we had to have those hard conversations. There was the movement of the Black Lives Matter, and everyone around the world was showing support towards that movement by taking the knee. And I sit there as a captain, and you listen to all these diverse views. One guy is saying, look, I can't take the knee because of religious reasons. Another guy, he's saying he can't do it because it doesn't speak to him. And as much as you have your own values, beliefs, and principles as a captain, you kind of need to make a decision that speaks to everyone. But for us to get to that decision, you had to have that a bit of empathy to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoe and at least understand. It's not a case of you're going to change what you believe in, what your stance is, but at least there's an understanding of where that person comes in. And it all just strengthens those bonds, I feel.
Okay, awesome. I want to jump on, and I mean, this is a really, really thorny topic that you speak about, this whole notion of diversity and respect for inclusion. Because, I mean, with Cricket South Africa, as with a lot of cricket, just because of our history and stuff, there's always been the spotlight on around, oh, it's tokenism, you're only there for whatever reason. As Temba, as the first black African captain, for the future, what would your hope be? And hint, hint, Temba means hope, so you see what I did there? What would your hope be for the next African black captain who comes in? What questions wouldn't you want him to have to answer that you have to answer today?
I think being the first in anything, right? You're gonna deal with the doubts. You're gonna deal with people not giving you the benefit of the doubt. So I feel like with what I've achieved or what this team has achieved, we've definitely shifted that mindset, right? And I think whatever that I've gone through will make it easier for the other younger guys coming through. I think guys, I mean, when I grew up, I never had aspirations of being a captain. It was never something you could really dream of,
I want to stop you before, sorry to cut your word, but just on that, was there anybody else in your career who saw you for more than what you saw yourself? Like someone who said, Temba, one day you can be captain. Was there anybody in your life that made you change that mind? Because like you're saying, sometimes you're growing up and you don't think, I can be captain. Was there anybody that kind of lit a bit of a fire in you and saw in you more than you even saw in yourself?
Look, I mean, if you speak to coaches that coached me when I was young, 16, they'll say that they saw something. Whether that's the case or not.
Or they're just jumping on the bandwagon right now.
Could be that. I never led any of the teams growing up. I was always the naughty guy as well, so from that point of view, that also didn't help. But it was probably only later on when I was 28, 29, so that's 2018, 19, where all the big names within the team started stepping away, AB, Hashim Amla, and there was a talk as who's going to be the next leader. And I guess from my side, whether strategically or opportunistically, I saw an opportunity there, and I guess I started working towards that. But growing up, being a captain was never a thing for me.
Okay, some have greatness thrust upon them, I guess, right? Okay, I'm mindful of time. Guys, Temba is been kind enough to us and spend so much time with us. He's literally going to be jumping on a flight very soon. But I do also want to give people in the audience an opportunity to ask some questions. So while we're looking around, if there's any questions, please pop up your hand and we'll get a roving mic to you. There's one over here. I see a hand over there. While we getting the mic to you, I wanted to get your view. So for those of you who don't understand, Temba was nominated by ESPN as the top 11 in the world for Test cricket and the captain. Can we get a hand of applause for that? Now, I know there's soccer fans out here, right? So to put this into perspective, that's like being labeled the captain of FIFA's All-Star 11 for a season. Do you understand, people? That's what that means. That's the man that we have sitting right here. Okay, we had a question there.
Thanks, Imran. Temba, firstly, my household is cricket fanatics. The constant debate between my son and myself is there's a space for Temba in the T20 side. Obviously, we were all crazy when we delivered at Lords in terms of, even though Aiden Markram might have scored the century, you were right there grafting through with him to get the World Chess Championship for us. I suppose my question is, as captain of the Test side, how does it feel, or do you feel there should be a space for Temba in the SAT20 side? And from an aspiration perspective, why did we not see Temba in the local SA20 series? Because we were quite looking forward to seeing you in action.
Okay, before you answer, I just want to contextualize for the non-cricketers here, right? Okay, so T20, and Temba mentioned white ball and red ball. So just quickly, white ball cricket is the kind of stuff where it happens quickly in a day and you sort it. You go in, boom, 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 day over, okay? Red ball cricket is the one, 5 days, no agenda, you play for 5 days and someone can still draw. Okay, you got that. So, Temba, now you can answer the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think basically I do have aspirations of playing T20 cricket. I haven't put my name out the hat, if I could call it that. My responsibilities now is the Test and the ODI. And I think with the responsibility of being captain, it's important that I look after my form from that point of view. But I mean, T20 cricket, I mean, you mentioned SA20 and other leagues, you know, and I've always said this, you know, you'll have to ask the people there who make the decisions with regards to that. But yeah, I mean, I'd still like to play T20 cricket. Cricket is cricket at the end of the day, you know. I'd still like to play T20 cricket.
Cool. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Oh, Ankur. There we go. Can we get a mic over to Ankur, please? And for your question, I know you're going to appreciate this. A signed ball from Temba to a true cricket fan. Obviously, the man spoke cricket. I'm not going to throw it if you wouldn't mind coming over. He can catch too. All right, Ankur, the other player in the room. Okay. Please, Ankur, don't make it a difficult question. Everyone must understand. Eh?
So, okay. No. So, first of all, Temba, it's a privilege to have you here. My son is a big fan of yours, and I've been like sending him pictures back to Dubai, so he's like super excited. I'll probably come and grab an autograph if I can. My question is not cricket related. My question is, you have been a captain of the South Africa team for a while. What is the hardest leadership decision that you had taken when things were not going right and you were trying to avoid short-term gains? And how did you take the whole team along when you took that decision? Thank you.
Thanks, Ankur. Very, very good question.
He chat GPT'd that question. I'm joking.
I think the toughest moment in my captaincy career was definitely, I think it was 2021. It was the World Cup in Dubai, T20. I mean, I mentioned earlier, we spoke about the Black Lives campaign, and there was us taking the knee, as you would call it, right? Speaking to the campaign. And as the team, because of, I guess, the diversity of views, of backgrounds, we had different, I guess, views as to what we should do. Certain guys wanted to take the knee, other guys didn't want to take the knee. And I guess it was easier when we were doing it, maybe just playing against another country, but then when you went to the World Cup, a billion eyes, it became a bit differently. And we played the first game against Australia, and as a team, when you're doing the national anthem, you obviously line up. We're on one side, Australia's on the other side. Our guys did what we ordinarily would do. Certain guys would take the knee, other guys wouldn't take the knee. And it didn't look good. Optically, it didn't look good. The next game we were playing against the West Indies. And an instruction came from above that said, you guys will do this, you know, and that wasn't met well by the team, by certain individuals. And yeah, a good teammate of mine, Quentin. He decided, look, this is not for him. He doesn't appreciate the way it's been done, and he's not gonna make himself available for the game. And now you sit there as the captain. There's a very important game in front of you. It's a World Cup. We just lost the first one, and you have to deal with the decision. You know, it's one that didn't sit well with me, but I think with a lot of guys within the team. But in the same vein, you got to get on with the job, you know. And it was a case of getting the guys together to say, guys, we have a job at hand. We got to beat the West Indies if we want to still keep our chances alive in the World Cup. We'll deal with everything else afterwards. And I just true to the resilience character of South Africans, we found a way during that. And afterwards, it was very uncomfortable where we sat as a team and we had conversations. I had to address the media around it all. And I mean, obviously, Quentin, as much as he makes the decision that he made, he's still one of my players, you know. And you can't, as a captain, leave your player to dry out in the public, you know. So yeah, that was one of my toughest moments. And I guess, like you said, how you rally behind the guys is you got to make sure that everyone is on the same page in terms of the vision, what it is that you want to achieve. Yeah, and ensure that we keep going towards whatever our dream and ambition is.
Thank you very much, Temba. Ankur, for your son, not for you. No, I'm not throwing it. If I throw it badly and I crack somebody's head open, they need to be at the paramedics. Let's not take any chances. It's day one. I can throw it from there. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for your question. I know you're on the clock, so I want to bring it to a close, but can we get a big round of applause for Temba Bavuma on the yellow chair? But before you go, we do have a little gift for you, and this is something you guys might not know, but we have someone in our midst, other than Ankur, who also played cricket, although not very well. He did make it to the national team, not international, and he's one of our own. So I'm going to ask him to come up and hand over a little gift to Temba. None other than our group president and CEO, Mr. Ralph Mapita.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. 300 million voices. 300 million stronger. 300 million stronger. Yellow, yellow.
I said it in play. Okay, I said you made it to nationals, just to nationals. Did you guys hear what Ralph said? If you didn't hear it, he said, just remember we has an overriding authority on your performance appraisal. Guys, one of the greatest cricketers in the world. Mr. Ralph Mapita, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ralph. So we've got a little trophy for you, and it's on its way. I know that it's got to be personalized, and we'll get that through to you. But Ralph, we have a surprise for you. We know that we have spent time building up in your office the world, kind of world champions kind of memorabilia. We've got stuff from Francois Pinard with Madiba. Yep, we have got Sia Khaleesi, and right now, we have got Temba, who has signed a bat for you. But I want him to read out the message that he put, because it's quite cheeky and very, very clever, of the message that he put on the bat for you. So you want to read it out there for Ralph?
To MTN, 300 million not out.
So he didn't get 100, but he got 300 million. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Well done. You might not be an international cricketer, but he definitely is the head of an international telco, techo, 3 platforms, 1 MTN. MTN? You forgot already. MTN? MTNers? There we go. Oh, yes, this is also for Ralph.
Ralph, I got, there's also a shirt here. One of
our XL.
It's a large, so it's definitely not my size. This is our ODI shirt.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
And for you, Temba.
Temba, just on behalf of all the MTNers, thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to be with us to share leadership lessons. And as Imran did an awesome job to explain cricket to those who are not cricketers. But I'm an absolute fan of the sport, and I was telling Imran, I wake up watching games in Australia when you're playing 4 a.m. in the morning. Huh? That's in December for Boxing Day tests, etc. But I guess more importantly, want to thank you for what you stand for. You stand for leadership and excellence. You stand for pathfinders. You stand for all the things that we at MTN believe in, which is the power of diversity. And that actually, when you give people opportunity, create the conditions for dignity, people can achieve almost anything. And I had the privilege of being at Lord's when you and Aidan Markham, and the whole team made history. There'd been this sense that South Africa can't win anything, and you guys went and win the World Cup. And then you follow that up by winning in India. For those who don't know cricket, winning in India is almost impossible. All teams go to India, and they're just happy to come back with a draw. And they won 2-0. They beat Anku, your team, huh? Yeah, Anku supports India, but when he's with us, he supports South Africa. But what you stand for is excellence. And for young people to see you, we often say, you can't be what you don't see. Somebody coming out of Langa and actually going to lift the mace at the Lords is something that could not have been scripted 10, 15 years ago. You've gone and done that, and you're giving us inspiration about nothing is impossible, all things are possible. And we have a token of appreciation. We understand you can accept this, but this is a MTN memento, which I hope you hold somewhere daily at home or in your office, wherever. Temba, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say thank you to two of the greatest cricketers we have in the world. Let's give it up for Ralph Mapita and Temba Bavuma.